Well, we'll all have a very unique retirement, just special and specific to us. There are some foundational principles that are the same for us when it comes to retirement planning. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about the 3 retirement truths. There's no one-size-fits-all retirement plan. However, there are some principles that we need or should follow that are consistent across the board.
Welcome to the Your Life, Your Money podcast with Scott Searens, teaching you how to thrive in life, wealth, and retirement.
Welcome to the Retirement Show, all about your life, your money, and your taxes. I'm your host, Scott Searens. My goal is to help you thrive in life, wealth, and retirement. Well, you know what? This summer, Christy and I were coming home from a trip, and as we're going through the airport, we're coming back into the U.S. and going through customs. How cool is this that, we had signed up for, they call it global entry, and literally I can put my hand down on the system, and it reads my fingerprints, and it knows that it's me, and then I fill out a short questionnaire, and that was customs, and, fill out the questionnaire, and it says, okay, great, you're approved, and you can go through the line here, and all's good. But how cool is that, through my fingerprints, right? Our fingerprints are just unique to us, that we all have different fingerprints, so it can just read mine and understand that that's me versus Christy versus anybody else that was traveling that day. And I don't know, I was just thinking how cool that is. And it's kind of like retirement, right? Everyone out there is going to have a retirement that is unique to them, just like a fingerprint. You see, because everybody has a different amount in their savings, and they're going to have different amounts of income that they need. They might have different interests of what they want to do for retirement. They're going to have different amounts in their 401ks versus brokerage accounts versus Roth accounts. Some people are going to have pensions. Some are going to have W-2 income. Some are going to own businesses, or maybe they're going to retire and then continue to consult part-time in their retirement. And while retirement is as unique as a fingerprint is, meaning everybody's going to experience a different retirement, it's also interesting that there are some, I'll call it universal truths, meaning foundational principles that remain constant for each and every one of us when it comes to retirement. You might be thinking, wait a second, you just told me how different everybody is out there in the world and how our retirements are all going to be different, but now you're telling me that there's principles that hold the same for everybody's retirement. And there are. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go over the 3 universal retirement truths, items, principles, as I had mentioned, that are the same for everyone, no matter their picture, no matter how much they saved, whether they've got a pension coming in or just Social Security, whether they've got money in a brokerage account or 401k or Roth IRA, principles that are the same for everyone as they plan for retirement and go through retirement. And that's what I want to talk about today is those 3 principles. So let's start with the first one. The first principle or universal retirement truth that holds across the board for everybody as they go into retirement is that everyone needs an income plan. As I mentioned, we might have different means of income. Some people might have Social Security, some people might have pensions, some people might have rental income coming in, some people might have business income coming in, but everybody needs a income plan. And let me just kind of go through an analogy here of why we need an income plan. Have you ever seen or played that game Tetris, the game of Tetris? Maybe you've seen it, maybe you've seen somebody else play it, but where you've got basically a screen, right? And then on the screen, different blocks start falling down on the screen. And these blocks are all different. Imagine that they're all different shapes, they're different sizes. It's still in block square format, right? But they're all different shapes, different sizes. Some are really long, some are just a perfect square, some are long with a piece sticking out of it. And so as they fall down from the top of the screen, you have to take and rotate these blocks or spin them around or flip them over before they land. And then the goal is, right, through all of these changes, that as they fall down and as they land to the bottom of the screen, is that you want to arrange them to get the most of them on the screen before they stack up and overflow the top. So if you do this right and you fit them all together the best that you possibly can, you're going to maximize the amount of space. You're going to maximize the pieces and the space to get the most out of the screen. But if you do it wrong, well, then they don't stack up very good and you run out of space really quickly and then you lose the game. And here's the deal. Here's how and why everybody needs an income plan and why this is a universal retirement truth and how it relates to the game of Tetris here, because I didn't just tell you about Tetris for nothing, is we all need income, but we all have different pieces coming in on our screen. Some of us have Social Security. Some of us have pensions. Some of us have a brokerage account that we'll take money from. Some of us have a 401k that we need to take money from. Some of us have a Roth IRA that we need to take money from. Some of us have a regular IRA. Some of us have an HSA to fund medical costs. Some of us might have rental income. Some of us might have business income. We all have these different pieces that are falling into our retirement income screen. And then the income plan is mastering the Tetris puzzle to get the most out of your screen, meaning mastering the puzzle of all of these pieces, flipping them around, turning them around, changing them, reversing them, picking the right dates, ages, time frames to start these different things to help maximize how much you can get from each one of these different income sources and help maximize how much you can spend in retirement. So these pieces are going to come in. They're going to be different sizes. As I mentioned, you might have Social Security, you might have pension, you might have rental income, W-2 income, self-employment income. Oh, and by the way, then you're going to have your investment income. And to find the best fit, you're going to need to put together an income plan. And you see, it doesn't matter if you've saved up $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, $10 million or more. Each one of us wants to maximize what we can get out of what we've saved up. We want to maximize what we can get out of Social Security. We want to help maximize what we can get out of the pension. We want to help maximize what we can get out of our investments when it comes to a retirement income standpoint. So that's why it's a universal truth that we all need an income plan. Now, how your puzzle pieces fit together, how your Tetris pieces fall into place together, well, that part's going to be unique to you. Because some of you might wait till age 70 and to start your Social Security. Some of you might start at 67. Some couples might start one at 70 and one at 65. That's the unique part about this. But the overall retirement truth is that we do need to go through the Tetris puzzle, the income plan, to determine how to help maximize what can fit on your screen, meaning how to help maximize what you can spend in retirement when it comes to all of your different income sources. So like I mentioned, for some people, it might be taking one Social Security early, delaying the others, and then as you're delaying the second one, you're filling the gap with increased investments. For some people, maybe you delay both of your Social Securities till age 70. Start your pension early, and you fill that gap with with investment income as well. But overall, we're all going to need an income plan. We're all going to need to figure out how to twist and turn all of the sources of income to help maximize what we can get on our screen, meaning help maximize what we can spend in retirement. So there we go. Universal truth number one, we're all going to need an income plan. Okay, before I get into universal truth number two, let me just tell you a quick story about how I felt like I beat the system. That's right. I thought I had it beat. I thought I beat the system. And you're wondering, what system is he talking about? Well, I really did think I beat the system until the other day I got a reminder in the mail that reminded me that I didn't beat the system. And here's what it is. The system was the the speed limit. I'm not a huge speeder, but I do go a little bit over the limit, try to stick within, a reasonable amount over the speed limit sometimes, and done it for years. Felt like I've beat the system. I haven't gotten a speeding ticket until the other day. I got a little reminder in the mail that on a recent trip out to Iowa, guess what? They've got some nice cameras out there that take pictures of you as you're driving down the interstate. And that camera reminded me that, as much as you feel like you can beat the system, at some point in time, you get caught. And the system got me. And you know what? The same holds true for the market. And universal truth number 2 is nobody can consistently time the stock market successfully. You feel like you can beat the system until you can't. Until you get that letter in the mail that says, hey, we caught you on the camera, and guess what? You were going over the speed limit. And the same holds true for the market. A lot of people think that they can beat the market, they can time the market, they can outpace the market, they can do better than the market until they get caught, meaning until they can't. And nobody can consistently beat the market. And you know what? There's a lot of data to prove that you can't time and beat the market. So where am I going with all this? Well, I think the important takeaway here is that as we see things going on in the market, as we feel like, the market's down, but the bank rates are really good right now. Maybe we should we'll take our money out. We're going to put it in these online savings accounts, making more money, and then we'll put it back in the market when the market's doing good. Well, how do we know actually when the market's doing good again? And the response usually would be, well, when it's back up. But guess what? If the market's back up, doesn't that mean we actually missed out on the growth of the market going back up? And so that's where I'm coming from here, is that as we see the ups and the downs in the market, and I know that can make us emotional, and then we see maybe advertisements for other products or instruments or investments, I get it. Everything can look way better than maybe what your investments are doing at the time. And so what do we want to do? We want to jump out. We want to get into this other thing that's going really good, and we say, hey, we'll jump back in when the market's doing better. And so I mentioned earlier, hey, there's kind of data to prove that, nobody can time the market and consistently beat it. From bankrate.com here, and I'll include these links in the show notes, bankrate.com, a report from Dow Jones, over a 20-year period, fewer than 10% of actively managed funds. So we've got passive funds that track the market, meaning you can't invest in the S&P 500, but you can invest in a fund that will track the S&P 500. You can invest in a fund that will track the Dow Jones or will track the NASDAQ. But you can't invest actually in them, but you can track them. Well, there's funds that will passively do that, meaning they're not trying to make trades to time the market or do anything. They just say, hey, we want to get what the market will give. And so they'll put investments, they'll buy stocks in those funds that will track, for instance, the S&P 500. Well, an actively managed fund then means that, hey, this is a fund that's going to try to outpace or beat the S&P 500. There's somebody, a human, that's making decisions thinking that they know better than what's actually happening out in the economic conditions, and they're going to time or try to beat what the market does. So their goal, for instance, let's just say the S&P 500 returns 10%. Their goal is to try to get you an 11 or 12 or 13% return or better. And if the S&P 500 loses 5%, well, their goal is that they lose 3% or 2%, or they actually have gains that year. And so here's what the data shows from bankrate.com again. Fewer than 10% of those actively managed funds, those people that are saying, hey, I'm going to do better than the S&P 500 this year, fewer than 10% of actively managed U.S. stock funds managed to beat the index. Think about that. Fewer than 10% could actually beat the index. Folks, it just goes to show we can't beat the market. We can't time the market. We can't consistently figure out how to outpace what the market is going to provide. So there's one way, right? Hey, we're going to try to be better than the market, meaning a human making decisions is going to make better stock picks than the market. Well, that just shows right there, hey, only 10% have managed to beat that index, but nobody's doing it consistently. Now, how about on the other side of the things? What if you say, well, you know what? The market's just not doing so well right now. And actually, as I'm recording this, 2023, the S&P 500 is up for the year. So not saying that, the market's not doing so well, but I'm just talking about the emotions we go through sometimes. So the market's not doing so well right now. Let's pull our money out, and then we'll put it in when the market's doing better. Well, this is some statistics from Seeking Alpha. And this is from, the data that they're providing from December 31st, 2006 to December 31st, 2021. So we've got a 15-year period. So over this 15-year period that they were talking about, and I believe they're talking about the S&P 500 here, if you would have stayed invested for that 15-year period, you would have averaged a return of 10.66%. But let's just say human nature, right? You're looking at your accounts over that 15-year period, and sometimes the market goes up and it goes down and volatility hits, and you're like, oh man, I just can't take this anymore. And you pulled your money out, and let's just say you missed the 10 best days because you pulled the money out. Well, that 10.66 average rate of return, if you miss the 10 best days of the market, it drops in half. It drops in half to a 5.05% average rate of return over that same 15-year period. And then if you miss the 20 best days, that average rate of return goes to 1.59%. If you miss the 30 best days, it goes down to a negative 1.18%. If you miss the 40 best days, it goes down to a negative 3.58%. So what am I trying to get at here? Well, the universal truth is that nobody can consistently time the stock market successfully. Whether you're looking for somebody who can actively beat it via their stock picks, or if you're trying to time the market of getting in and getting out, moving to cash, moving back in, unfortunately, folks, it just doesn't work. Nobody can consistently do it successfully. And this is why, if you've listened to some of our shows before, or look at some of our YouTube videos, you'll see that we talk about having a plan, having a strategy, so that way you can stay invested in a strategy that will help support you in good economic times as well as poor economic times. Because making consistent changes or random changes, either way, making changes because you feel that the market isn't giving you what you hoped it would have right then next thing you know, you might miss out on some of those best days. And so that's why you want to have a plan, a strategy that lines up with the income plan that you put together in Universal Truth number 1. Okay, enough about that. Let's move on to our third one here. I don't have any stories about this one, no analogies. This one is just really straightforward, folks. Our third universal retirement truth is estate planning isn't just for the wealthy. Estate planning is for everyone. That's right. Estate planning is for everyone. That's a universal retirement truth. Folks, so important here. Doesn't matter where you're at in retirement, if you're preparing for retirement, if you're in retirement. Heck, if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s and you're not yet retired, all of these items are really important. First off, do you have a will? Do you have a will? Do you have a document that's going to say, here's where I want my personal belongings to go to, who I want my personal belongings to go to in the event of my passing? Folks, having a will in place can help you avoid some really big headaches. One really big headache called probate, called your assets sitting with the government where they make the decisions of how they get distributed to your overall family or beneficiaries. So instead of probate, put a will together. It'll help you avoid all those different things. Now, the next one here on the list from an estate planning standpoint that please, again, put this together is having a health power of attorney and having a power of attorney for property. So let's just say something happens to you and you're no longer able to make decisions. And I have these conversations with our clients. I tell them, I say, hey, let's just say you have a health event and you need to still pay your bills. You're in the hospital. You send your kid in to come meet with me, and he says, hey, I really got to get, $5,000 out for my mom or $10,000 out for my dad to help them pay their bills. I'll say, okay, do you have the power of attorney document that says that you can do that? And as much as I want to help our clients out and as much as I want to, give them that withdrawal of money because I know that they're in a tough spot, without that power of attorney document, there's nothing that we can legally do. The withdrawals, the requests have to come from the account owner. But with that power of attorney document in place, now we can start to help out. Now we can start to say, oh, okay, Johnny here, the son, is the power of attorney. And the doctor says that Johnny is able to now start making financial decisions for his mother or for his father. And he needs to take $1,000 out to help him pay the mortgage. He needs to take a couple $1,000s out to help pay all of the different bills from the past months for their parents. Well, great. Thanks for all this documentation. Johnny, we can help you do it. You see, that's the difference between having these in place or not having them in place. That's why this is a universal retirement truth, because it's something that everybody needs. We all might live a different life. We all might have a different lifestyle. We all might be in different locations. But in the end, we all need our estate documents put together. So that's the third and final retirement truth there. Hope that you found all of these to be of value and benefit. If so, another area that you might want to check out for more retirement planning topics where we talk about how to help reduce the taxes that you'll pay to the IRS, where we talk about Social Security, is on our YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out yet, if you like the podcast, you probably really like our YouTube channel as well. And you can go to YouTube and just put in Sierens Financial Group. That's SIERENS. Some of our latest videos out there on YouTube are 3 irreversible retirement decisions. Another video is what is the best tax strategy for retirement? And then the one thing to solve for to be ready to retire. So check out our YouTube channel. Hopefully you'll find it to be of value and benefit on your journey to maximizing your retirement story. Hey, subscribe also on your favorite podcast player. That way you get notified when our next podcast comes out. And I look forward to our next conversation to helping you enjoy life today and be financially confident about your tomorrow.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Sierens Financial Management, Inc. Sierens Financial Group, Inc. is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management, LLC, AEWM, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Sierens Financial Management, Inc. are not subject to investment advisor requirements. AEWM and Sierens Financial Group, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as a sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences, including, but not limited to, a need for additional tax withholding or estimated tax payments, the loss of certain tax deductions and credits, and higher taxes on Social Security benefits and higher Medicare premiums. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. Sierens Financial Group, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Sierens Financial Group, Inc.